Good morning, guys, and welcome to Fort City Church Online this morning. My name is Lucas, and I'm the pastor of Teen Development here, and this is
Shauna, and I am the kids ministry family director person, the fun one.
Yeah, she's the fun one. Mm-hmm. We're glad you're here this morning, and right off the bat, I just want to welcome you if you're new. If this is your first time joining us online, why don't you just say I'm new in the comments and somebody will follow up.
We like that.
We'll send you a puppy and a bag of cash if you do that.
Promises. We promise.
But yeah, we'd love to hear from you and connect with you if this is your first time. But yeah, we should do something fun.
I have a game.
Shauna, you have an idea for us this morning.
I do.
When Shauna gets ideas, I get nervous, so...
No. So I figured that since our message series right now is Scandalous, that maybe we should play Never Have I Ever.
Oh, Shauna.
Yay!
Oh, gosh.
Church edition? Fort City Church edition.
We will be the only church to ever have played Never Have I Ever.
Maybe. Yeah. Making new ground here.
Okay, so how does it work? You gotta tell us how it works.
All right, so I'm going to say Never Have I Ever, insert thing here, and you are going to tell us if you have ever done the thing or not.
Oh,
and we will
great.
laugh. And we can even share. I'll take some of the heat also.
Yeah, that's a good thing I'm gonna edit this afterwards so I can cut out anything really bad.
Nothing bad.
Okay, so Shauna's texted me some questions to ask her, or Never Have I Ever's, and she's got some, so why don't you start?
All right, let's do it. All right, never have I ever fallen asleep in church.
Wow. I mean, who hasn't fallen asleep in church?
That is true.
I have a good excuse.
Okay.
I used to work night shifts and then come to church, and you know,
That's fair.
some sermons are just really
Long?
They're long.
That's fair, yeah. Okay, we'll give you that.
All right. So for you, never have I ever, this is true, I have never used somebody else's toothbrush.
That's nice for you.
Oh, gross.
Sometimes, like, you forget to pack one, and you just, like, run it under really hot water.
Are you letting Tim know right now that you're using his toothbrush without him knowing?
Not now. I have my own.
All right, your turn.
All right. Never have I ever pretended not to be home when someone rang my doorbell.
Ooh, yeah, no, I've done that.
I think we all.
Oh man, we used to have a small group that met at our house called Friday at 6, and we canceled it last minute one time for a good reason, but we didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings, so we turned the lights off and parked the car at the Shell station.
Oh my gosh.
And then we all went downstairs and watched a movie in the dark.
That's okay. For me, I just hide from the JWs when they come by.
Okay, I got one for you now. Never have I ever forgotten a loved one's birthday.
I think I might have done that, but I
don't
can't remember.
No, you're too nice. You would never forget.
Okay. I think I know the answer to this one already.
What is it?
Never have I ever tried to break into someone's phone.
Oh, yeah, I do that. Yeah,
all the time.
If you leave your phone out, I'm going to try to break in and change your Facebook status. That is, or I'll go into your Facebook Messenger and scroll right to the bottom, people you haven't talked to in 10 years, and I'll just be like, hey, how's it going? How are you? And then you have the awkward conversation with this person after. So.
You're the worst.
Yep, no, I like that one. Okay, never have I ever been involved in road rage.
I'm more passive aggressive than rageful, so let's just go with that.
Can confirm that is true. Okay, that's enough of that game.
I think that's a good place to stop.
It's a dangerous game. You guys, we're glad you're here, and never have I ever fallen asleep in church. If you fall asleep today,
We won't know.
nobody's gonna know. So, but we're glad you're here. We've got a great service plan for you. We've got a worship team that's gonna lead us in worship. We've got some preaching. It's gonna be a good service. So remember, if you're new,
Comment.
Make sure to comment.
We'll follow up.
and if you're not new, comment anyway. Say hi to someone. Reach across the aisle and do a virtual handshake or
Bump elbows.
elbow pump or whatever it is. So, what do you say, Shauna?
Let's do it.
Let's get to it.
I was buried beneath my shame. Who could carry that kind away? It was my tomb till I met you. I was breathing, but not alive. Oh, my fingers, I tried to hide. It was my till I met you. You called my name. You called my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. Now your mercy has saved my soul, and now your freedom is all that I know. You made new, Jesus, when I met you. Oh, when you called my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. I needed rescue, my sin was heavy, the chains break at the weight of His glory. I needed shelter, I was an orphan, and now you call me a citizen of heaven. When I was broken, you were my healing. Now your love is the air that I'm breathing. I have a future, my eyes are open, 'cause when you call my name, I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. Hey!
Rumors of the summer man, stories of a savior, holiness with human hand, treasure for the traitor. No ear has heard, no eye has seen the image of the Father, until heaven came to live with me, a rescue like no other. You are worthy, you are worthy of your name. You are worthy. my ransom, my savior, my rescue, my hiding place. You're my helper, my healer, my blessed redeemer, my answer, my saving grace. You're my hope in the shadows, my strength in the battle, my anchor for all my days. And you stand by my side and you stood in my place. Jesus, no other name. Only Jesus, no other name. You are worthy. You are worthy of your name. You are worthy. You are worthy of your name. You are worthy. You are worthy of your name. You are worthy. You are worthy of your name, Jesus, who is like the Lord God Almighty. You walked on water, the wind and the waves of your name. You pulled my heart up out of the grave. You are worthy. You are worthy of your name. You are worthy. You are worthy of your name, Jesus.
In 2006, I was a brand new emergency medical technician. I was 19 years old and I knew everything, like most 19-year-olds. My wife, Adrian, was in her second year in her Bachelor of Science in Nursing program at Keano, and she was working on the medicine floor at the hospital doing her practicum. And I remember one day I was this new EMT and it was still all super exciting, and I had this really complex patient. He was, there was a lot of complicating factors and things were a little bit crazy in the back of the ambulance. And I dropped him off at the hospital and drove away, like I always do, right? You never get to hear what happens to your patients after you drop them at the hospital. And then I went home, and that night I was talking to my wife about this particularly difficult call I had, and she started to talk about a similar call she had at the hospital, a very similar sounding patient, And then we discovered that the person I had dropped off at the hospital, she actually ended up treating at the hospital too. And I was able to hear that she did a good job and that this person was going to be okay and that things were going to go well for them. And that was something that didn't happen very often throughout my career. I often had to drop people off at the hospital and not know whether they were going to be okay or not know if the things that I did worked, not know if the treatments that I gave took. And that was always a difficult thing for me. And it's a lesson that I've learned, and I think it applies to us too as the church. You see, you may never get to know what happens from the actions you take as a Christian. So if you are on the connection team and you shake somebody's hand at the front door and welcome them, you may never discover that that was their first time at church and they were incredibly nervous, and just seeing a warm face and having a kind person greet them put them at ease and allowed them to experience church for the very first time. And if you volunteer in our youth group and join the YWAM team on Tuesday nights, you may never discover that that kid that you were kind to, that kid that you talked to Jesus about, 10 years later when he's 25, remembered that moment and decided maybe it's time for them to get back to church. And similarly, you may never discover that when you give to Fort City, when you support the mission of this place, you may never discover that your giving helped a family in need who was desperate for food or desperate for financial assistance get through another month. The things we do as Christians, as Jesus followers, we may never know the reward. And that's why I love baptism so much. Because no matter who you are, when you see those faces get dunked into those tanks and they come up and they are a new person and they are excited about their faith, when you are part of this church, you get to look at that and say, I helped make that happen. What I did mattered. The serving, the volunteering, the giving, it all led to this moment where somebody's life was changed forever. And so this morning, I want to encourage you. We're going to talk about volunteering and serving over the next few weeks as we look to ramp up and start in-person gatherings again. But today I want to challenge you. If you want to commit to being part of Fort City, to financially support the mission of this place, to be part of our successes, then make that commitment today. Begin to give or continue to give if you're already giving. Help us to go further and reach farther than we ever thought we could.
There are some things that I don't understand. Some things I can't come to grip with. Sometimes I just look out in the world and think, why? Why me, God? Why this situation? Why them, Lord? Why this tribulation? Why? I've been down on my luck for a while. I mean, I don't even have an ace in the deck. Just empty hands with no patience that's left. I'm lost in the desert, no oasis. I guess I'm hung out to dry. Lips chapped, feet hurt in this weather. I thirst and I march on, hoping to find an answer. Just an inkling of faith in this world full of cancer would be a refreshing drip of water on the tip of my tongue. The fresh, cool breeze of Jehovah's lungs is exactly what I need. But that feels so far away. I mean, God, are you really with me? Do you really care? When I cry in distress, are you really there? Your word says yes, but sometimes I doubt it. But clearly my own path needs rerouting, because every time I walk my own way, I get lost. And even though I'm lost in the desert, I now realize He created it. He knows where the water is. He made the sun. His creation is marvelous, and He is in control even when I fail. He is faithful even when I fall. He is what I need even when I doubt. He is fresh water in the midst of the drought. He is God and He is King. He is Lord and gives life to all things. He gives and takes away, and sometimes I just need to trust that he knows exactly what he is doing. When I am asleep, he is moving. When I fall, he is choosing to pick me back up with outstretched arms. Nothing that anyone does can separate me from his love, because he is faithful, he is true, he is good, he is God. And in the desert I know he reigns.
For the last 3 weeks, we have been talking about some of the scandalous situations that Jesus has found himself in. He was constantly offending the religious elite and confounding the thought leaders of his day. When everyone expected Jesus to zig, he would always zag. And no one could seem to anticipate which ancient rule or which cultural norm he was going to break next. In week 1, we talked about Jesus choosing Matthew, the tax collector, and inviting him to be part of his inner circle. The person most shocked by that request was probably Matthew. Matthew knew what people thought about him. He knew he was an outcast, that he knew people hated him. And yet Jesus chose him, showing us, you and me, that nobody is beyond the grace and love of Jesus. And then in week 2, we talked about the sinful woman who threw herself at the feet of Jesus, crying and washing his feet with her tears. Everyone in the room expected Jesus to throw a fit and kick her out and tell her to stop, but he looked her in the eyes. He treated her with dignity, treated her like a human, and showed us that his love is so incredibly scandalous, the kind that sees our deepest shame and our greatest regrets and loves us anyways. And then last week we talked about the Roman centurion, a violent and brutal man who was part of the Roman Empire that was oppressing Jesus and his people. And this man did not deserve the attention or care of Jesus, and yet Jesus gave it to him anyways, risking his reputation to help a Roman centurion. And if you've missed those messages or any message series before, you can watch them on YouTube or Facebook, or you can even listen to them on your favorite podcast app, on whatever app you use. But this week, Jesus continues this trend of finding himself in scandalous situations. Luke tells us that Jesus was traveling through the city of Jericho, where a man named Zacchaeus lived. Luke tells us that Zacchaeus was a tax collector, but not just any tax collector. He was chief of tax collectors. And if you listen to the message from a few weeks ago, you would know that tax collectors were despised, and no good person, no good Jewish person, no good rabbi would ever associate themselves with a tax collector. That's because they routinely overtaxed people. They routinely cheated people. They were considered traitors as sympathizers to the Roman Empire that they were helping to collect taxes for. No upstanding citizen would be caught with a tax collector. But Luke tells us in the story what happened. A man was there by the name of Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and he was wealthy. He wanted to see who Jesus was, but because he was short, he could not see over the crowd. Poor Zacchaeus, right? I know how this feels. My wife is 6'2", and at our wedding, at our first dance, I was the one who put my head on her shoulder. Zacchaeus just wanted to see Jesus, but he could not see over the crowd. He had heard about this man who was healing the sick and giving sight to the blind. Maybe he was hoping Jesus could give him a few extra inches of height. But because he was short, Zacchaeus could not see Jesus through the crowd. He wanted to see him, but he couldn't, even though Jesus was right in front of him. Sometimes I feel the same as Zacchaeus. Sometimes I struggle to see Jesus in the world around me. Sometimes it can be hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel. There is just so much in the way, blocking what I need to see. Now, I've lived in Fort McMurray most all of my life. And over the years, I've heard people say all kinds of terrible things about this place. And there was a time when every news story about Fort McMurray featured stock footage of the oil can and the Boomtown Casino and showgirls, but that is not the town that I knew, and that is not the town that I have come to love. I have come to love this place, to love the people who live here, because there is something special about it. The people are resilient, and there is a pioneering spirit here. People have come from all over the world to make their lives here in Fort McMurray. And because we are so far north, and because so many of us don't have family here, they're so far away, we have to band together. We have to draw close to each other, and that makes for a wonderful sense of community. And I love this place, and so back in May, when we experienced a 100-year flood, and so many people were hurting, and so many people were losing so much, my heart was broken again for my city. Not again, I thought, how much more does this city have to endure? And as a church, we knew it was our job to spring into action and to help people, and not just to pray for them, but to help them and get our hands dirty, helping them in their homes. And so that's why we quickly worked together with YWAM Fort McMurray to get Samaritan's Purse to respond up here and set up a base here on our property. And for those of you who don't know who Samaritan's Purse is, it's this global organization that is often some of the first responders to global natural disasters. And I got to tell you, on the day they arrived here in Fort McMurray back in May, I was so excited. I put a ladder up against the church, and I climbed up onto the roof just so I could see all of them arrive, truck after truck. It felt like the cavalry had arrived. Help had come. My heart was bursting in that moment, and the vantage point I had to see all of the trucks coming in the parking lot. It was amazing. And I could have just stayed on the ground, but I knew I'd get a better view the higher up I got. And Zacchaeus, he is too short to see Jesus through the crowd. And so what does he do? I know you can probably guess. Luke tells us, so he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore fig tree to see Jesus. See, he changed his vantage point. He climbed a little bit higher. What he was doing on the ground wasn't going to be enough. And so he changed his approach. And for some of us, for most of us, I would say, we are asking tough questions. Like, where is God in the midst of all of this craziness? Or what am I supposed to do with my life? Is God even real? Or questions that are closer to home. Is my marriage going to last? Are my kids going to be okay? Am I even going to make it through another day? We are looking for that light at the end of the tunnel, but sometimes all we can see is dark. We are looking for Jesus, but we can't see him through the crowd. I think for some of us, we may need to climb our own sycamore tree, to change our vantage point, to change our routine, to inject something different into our lives, even if it's uncomfortable and even if it takes more effort than we think we can spare. You know, here's the truth about faith. Your faith, my faith, 1 hour on Sunday morning isn't going to cut it. It's not going to last. It may last for a little while, but soon enough you're just going to discover that you can no longer see Jesus through the crowd. And if you don't grab the next branch and climb a little bit higher, chances are you may never see him again. You might decide that he must not even be there on the other side of the obstacle that's in front of you. But that doesn't have to happen. There are things that you and I can do that can help us to see Jesus through the fray. There are lots of branches that we can grab onto to climb a little higher to get a better view. See, one of the things you can do, and we've talked about it often, you can choose to be baptized. Baptism is a powerful expression of faith. It's this public declaration that you have chosen to follow Jesus. And not only is baptism meaningful to the person being baptized, it encourages the whole church. And one of the best parts about baptism is it is the lowest branch on the tree. If you have decided to follow Jesus, then you're ready to be baptized. And next month, we're having a baptism Sunday. We're going to gather together and people are going to be baptized. If that's something that you are interested in, let us know. We'd love to talk to you about baptism. Another branch for you that you could climb up a little higher to see Jesus might be prayer. And yes, you can pray for yourself and your family. You can pray for your life to get better and for you to overcome your obstacles. But you could also choose to pray for somebody else. For somebody who may be going through a difficult time, give them your attention during your prayer. You might even choose to pray for someone who you find difficult. You'd be surprised what happens when you pray for those kind of people, what happens to you. For me, a branch that I've grabbed hold of and has been incredibly powerful in my life has been joining a team or serving on a team or joining a group. Sitting alone with your faith, it's difficult. You get lost and it's hard to see what you need to see. But when you surround yourself with other Christians, when you serve together, your faith grows together. In those groups is when we often feel closest to Jesus. In the fall, we have groups starting, all kinds of groups, and one of those groups might just be the vantage point that you need to help you see Jesus again. Serving others, it's an incredible branch that you can grab a hold of. The Apostle John told us that when we love one another, that Jesus is right there, that he is present in our love. And you can join a team here at Fort City. You can run a camera, or you can join the connection team. You can help in Kids City. When we start gathering in September, we're going to need a ton of good people to help this place do great things. And you don't just have to serve at Fort City. Our city is full of places where you can serve. You can serve by volunteering on your kids' hockey team. You can serve down at the soup kitchen. You could even join the RMWB's Victim Services Group, where you help people in times of disaster or struggle. When you love your community, Jesus is there. And I promise you'll see Jesus a little clearer when you do that. And this is exactly what happened to Zacchaeus. Luke tells us that Jesus saw Zacchaeus climbing the branches of that sycamore tree, and he called out to him. And he scurried down the tree, and Jesus invited himself into Zacchaeus' home, to which I'm sure he was shocked. And they went home, and now, of course, people are judging Jesus for going to Zacchaeus' house, but Jesus didn't care. Jesus was used to this sort of scandal. Luke tells us that when Jesus was in Zacchaeus' home, that something changed in Zacchaeus. When he saw Jesus face to face, he was moved to action. He said, "Look, Lord, here and now I give half of my possessions to the poor, and if I have cheated anybody out of anything, I will pay them back 4 times the amount." Being with Jesus moved Zacchaeus to make things right with the people that he had wronged, to fix the relationships that he had broken, to use his position, his resources, his time to bless others. It's as if he suddenly knew that the best way to honor Jesus, the best way to follow him, and the best way to love him was to show love to the people around him. To me, the most powerful part of Zacchaeus' story was when he looked Jesus in the face and realized that loving his neighbors was the same thing as loving Jesus. One of the things we have discovered as a team here at Fort City is that producing these online services is much more complex than we thought it would be. It requires a lot more time and a lot more planning and a lot more expertise than producing just an in-person service. We've got to capture, multiple camera angles and then sync them together. We've got 3 here today. There's this one, and there's this one, and then there's this one. And each camera needs to be white balanced and focused and color corrected. You've got to figure out frame rates and resolutions. Worship audio has to be recorded using 16 different tracks, and those tracks have to be synced together and edited. And then the audio needs to be connected with the video, compressed and normalized. Graphics need to be created from scratch and then added in. It is incredibly complicated what we are trying to do each week, creating these online services. And it has taken the whole team to learn new skills and new challenges to be able to do it. And see, something that used to be fairly easy for us, fairly natural, has suddenly become really complex. And here's the thing. While creating church services has become more complex for us than ever, being a Christian, being a Jesus follower is still simple. Pray for each other. Serve in your community. Love one another. Keep grabbing that next branch on the faith tree and never stop climbing. Guys, let's take a moment to pray. Jesus, I thank you today that we have the opportunity to meet in this way and to encourage each other through this online service. And I thank you for each person who is watching, whether they're watching live or they're watching later. And Jesus, I ask right now for the people who are with us now who are having a hard time seeing you, who are struggling to see you through the chaos, through the hurt, through the crowd. That Jesus, that you would make it clear to them what that next branch is on the tree that they need to climb up to see you clearer. Whether it's baptism or serving, whether it's loving their neighbors in a new way, whether it's praying for themselves and their family and for others. Whatever it is, Jesus, I ask that you would help us to know what it means to take that next step and to see you with a little bit more clarity. And Jesus, I pray that you bless each person and that this week they would see you where they have not seen you before. I pray this in your holiest of names. Amen. You guys, if you have questions or you are looking to engage in some of the ways that we've talked about today, please get a hold of us. Okay, you can email us, you can message us, you can comment right now on the Facebook or YouTube comments. We would love to hear from you. We would love to connect with you, and we'd love to help you take that next step, climb that one branch higher to help you see Jesus in the world around you.
You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are here, touching every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, healing every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here. You. I you. You are here, mending every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are a way maker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are way maker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. 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 'Cause you are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. Never stop, you never stop working. Never stop, never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. Never stop, you never stop working. Never stop, never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. Never stop, you never stop working. Never stop, never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. Never stop, you never stop working. Never stop, never stop working. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. 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 Miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are.
Guys, we were so glad that you joined us for today's service. It was a good one. I just want to remind you, if you're new today, if it's your first time, let us know. We'd love to follow up with you and find out how the service was for you.
Absolutely. And if something with this message really resonated with you and you find yourself wanting prayer or just general, things, let us know. Reach out. We'll follow up. That's what we like to do.
Yeah, we'd love to pray for you. And today, if you took a next step in your faith, if you decided you want to get baptized, if you decided to follow Jesus for the first time, if you decided you want to join a team, let us know. We'd love to hear from you. This is all about community, what we're doing, and so we'd love to connect and have that conversation with you. But that's it.
That's it. Have a great week.
Enjoy your Sunday, guys. We'll see you out there.